everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
Like what was already said, I'm Ashley Taylor and I'm with Synergy Home Care. This is Kaylee Rogers. I am doing the marketing side. Kaylee does care coordinating and marketing with me. So you've seen us out in the community before. You've seen us both here, but you've also probably seen us in many other areas. I know I'll see a lot of familiar faces myself. So we are presenting you with summer safety tips today. So some of the things that we will be going over today is how older people's bodies respond to extreme heat temperatures, changes in the weather, and how your medications, your medical diagnoses will affect the temperature increases and how your body might respond to the heat outside. Wearing the right clothing, applying sunscreen, drinking plenty of fluids, what kind of fluids to drink, and what times to go out and how to protect yourself when you do. All right?
Before we move on to the next slide, does anyone know, raise your hand if you know how much water you drink per day. And now does anyone know how much water you're supposed to drink per day? Any guesses? So we'll go over it, but typically we're supposed to be drinking anywhere from 50 to 75 ounces of water a day. So that's approximately half a gallon of water a day.
Yeah. So consulting with your doctor, I think that this is very important and it needs to be the first one we discuss because this is something that you're going to need to plan to do prior to going outside and being exposed to the extreme heats, or if you're planning a vacation to go to the beach or something, you need to schedule an appointment with your doctor and consult with them about the particular diagnoses that you might have and the medications that you're taking. So being aware of those medications and what their side effects are, some of those might include certain antibiotics that you're taking, antifungals, antihistamines. We also have some cholesterol lowering medicines that can affect you, diuretics, type 2 diabetic medicines, NSAIDs like ibuprofen. Those can affect older people with the extreme heat. So certain cardiac and kidney diagnoses will increase your heart rate, your blood pressure. Follow the restrictions from your doctor. If you have been told you are limited to lower heart rate and less exertion. So low sodium diets and medications can leave you vulnerable. Ask how much you should drink. So your doctor can give you basically a hydration recommendation based off of your weight and what your diagnoses are. And like Kaylee already mentioned, it's typically about 50 to 75 ounces of water a day. I can give you an example. This is a cup that I've purchased recently. This is 40 ounces. So, at least a cup and a half this size is what you need to be drinking a day, okay? All right, so I call this the 3 Ps. It's easy to remember. Planning, preparing, protection. So check your forecast for the day before you go outside. We all do that anyway. We want to know if it's raining or, if there's any extreme weather conditions, but we don't think about checking to see how hot it's going to be that day or what time it's going to be the hottest. So knowing that, check your forecast for the day, make your plans around that. So, when you're checking your forecast, think about scheduling time or inviting your family and your friends to come and join you for an outing. It gives you an opportunity to get together, to do things as a family. Make your plans during the early morning or late evening. It's typically about before 10 a.m. and after 3 p.m. So between 10 and 3 is going to be the hottest part of the day. And that's where we want you to kind of, be mindful. If you have to go outside during those times, then we're going to give you some ways to stay protected. So, prepare, know where you're going, being mindful of the terrain. So like we mentioned already, going to the beach, that's an obvious, the terrain is going to change. So you're going to be on sandy shores. It can be a little more difficult to get around, to walk, but also be mindful of decks. So if you're going to your daughter's house for a barbecue, be cautious of things like that because they can be uneven. There can be loose boards that you're walking on, and a fall would ruin a day really quickly, and it's going to ruin your whole family event. So just be mindful of those. Slippery pool decks. If you're going anywhere near water, be mindful of that. Pack items like bottled water, fruits, ice packs. Something that's been brought to my attention recently, they have something that's it's a waistband fan that you can purchase, that it just slips on the side of your pants and it blows cool air in your face. So I thought that was really nice. The technology that they have today, there's just no ends to it, right? So playing with things like that, but make sure that you have items to keep yourself cool. Check your assisted devices. If you're using a cane, if you're using a walker, make sure that it's steady on the ground, that it's even, it's rolling correctly, the wheels are clean, your hearing aids are working properly so you can hear what's going on around you. Make sure that you're protecting yourself. So avoid and repel against biting insects. So there's certain times of day, early in the morning, late in the evening, where the insects are really bad. Mosquitoes are out biting, but for our seniors, those bites can be a lot worse. And
they can cause allergic reaction, or you can transmit diseases like Lyme's disease, West Nile, anything like that. So just make sure that you're protecting yourself and wearing, the appropriate repellent when you're outdoors, especially around bodies of water and things like that.
Yeah. So use your sunscreen. They do recommend at least a SPF 30 or higher. Reapply it every 2 hours, making sure that you're keeping yourself covered up with wide-brimmed hats. They have clothes now that are moisture wicking, cooling, that they use, they use your sweat to keep you cool, so you can keep yourself covered with long sleeve shirts and still be able to be comfortable. Use your UV glasses. A lot of you wear eyeglasses. They do have a tint now that they can add to your eyeglasses that will help you with the UV rays. Okay, signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke.
Does anyone know side effects of heat exhaustion? Does anyone have an example of what might happen when you're about to, have a heat stroke?
So even small increases in temperature can affect older adults who may have chronic health conditions. If you are experiencing any of these, sit down with an ice pack, rest, and drink water. So I will go over some of these, and it is nausea, like we already mentioned, headache, red flushed skin, rapid heartbeat, tiredness, confusion. So if you're out and about and all of a sudden you start feeling weak, or you're a little bit more tired and it's only 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that could be a sign. You might not even feel thirsty or hot. So just knowing these signs, being weak, being dizzy, those are all signs of heat exhaustion or heat stroke. So if you're, like I said, you sit down, use ice packs, rest, drink water even if you don't feel thirsty. Examples of medical conditions that are more seriously affected by heat are high blood pressure, hyperthyroidism, and multiple sclerosis, Graves' disease, goiter, thyroiditis. All of these are more seriously affected by the heat. So that's why consulting with your doctor is very important. Signs of dehydration. So does anybody know what some signs of dehydration are? All right. So as we age, our bodies naturally do lose the ability to conserve fluid. Research shows that if you are thirsty, you've already become dehydrated. So signs of this can include dry mouth, dry eyes, skin, headaches, disorientation. Some other things that you don't necessarily hear about are dark urine. So if you go to the bathroom, and that's something that you can experience at any time, not even when you're just out in the sun, but at any time, if you have all of a sudden seen a rapid change in the color of your urine, that can mean dehydration. So frequent urinating, low energy, muscle cramps. A lot of us think that if we're going to the bathroom often, that it's probably because we've drank too much. Sometimes it's the opposite. So keeping up with how much you've had to drink, and if you are urinating frequently and you haven't had a lot, then that you might need to drink more, okay? So just make sure to drink throughout the day consistently. Set an alarm to remind you to drink. So we all have cell phones now, or if we don't, we have an alarm clock. Set it to make sure that you reminding yourself to drink. Our body doesn't naturally tell us, at some point that we need to keep drinking, and we sometimes we just have to stay more mindful of that. So it does not take much to get dehydrated. So the stages of dehydration, mild dehydration, you only need to be at 1%, and
the next one is moderate
There you go,
dehydration, which is 2%. This includes dizziness, dry skin, and headaches. So that's right in the middle when you should be, recognizing it and try to drink more water. The next one is severe hydration, which is 5%. That's when you start with the fever, racing pulse, like you said, lack of sweating. So when it gets to that point, it's really important to sit down, rest, ice pack, start drinking water. And then fatal dehydration is 9%, delirium and lack of consciousness. So that can happen if you're severely dehydrated. So again, it's important to just stay hydrated throughout the day.
Yeah. So keeping yourself hydrated. So I've already shown you an example of the cup. You can purchase these anywhere in any store. You can get it online at Amazon actually and have it delivered to your door next day. So, but they do have cups that have measurements on them. Mm-hmm. So if you're unaware of how much you're drinking, or sometimes it helps us to just stay motivated to see what we're doing. When you see the progress that you're making, it helps you want to make more progress. So it's kind of like exercising. These are ways to help keep you drinking, so you keep coming back. So if you're watching it on a measured cup here, like we've shown you an example of, it tells you how much you filled that cup up for the day. And you see it at certain times getting down to a certain level. So it's kind of a reminder in itself. And as long as you keep that cup with you. You do not have to have one that's as big as mine. They do come in smaller sizes if you don't like carrying a large cup like that around. But ways to stay hydrated is going to be drinking water. That's your number one. So we have to drink water. We have to make ourselves, if you have to add flavoring to your water, if you have to add electrolytes to your water, they do have flavored electrolytes that will actually help increase the benefit of the water that you're drinking. And it also makes it more pleasurable to drink. So some people love to drink their coffee. Personally, I love to drink my sweet tea. That is that is my fault there, but these things are going to make you more dehydrated. So being mindful, cutting back your caffeine, cutting back any alcohol use, those are all things that are going to decrease your hydration and can even harm you. So drink your water, drink your Gatorade, drinking electrolytes. If you can't drink a lot, then try to make what you are drinking more beneficial. All right, so use an alarm to remind you to drink these. Use a measured cup to keep up with how much you're drinking. So if you know by 12 o'clock today, you haven't drank half this cup, we know we need to kind of speed it up. Because we also want to be a little bit more mindful about how late we're drinking, right? So we want to get these fluids in before bedtime, and then we're looking back and we're saying, oh, I've only drank 1 bottle of water today. Let me go ahead and drink 3 more because I need those ounces in. We don't want to do that at bedtime. We want to do it consistently throughout the day. Mm-hmm. So like I said, minimize your alcohol and your caffeine. Be proactive. Eat fruits and vegetables. I brought an example of that here today. I'm not going to go into depth on that yet because I will give you some examples of why eating these fruits is good for you in just a minute. Have a friend hold you accountable to drink at least 50 ounces of water a day. That's a good guess for any of us, that we need to drink at least 50, right? Make it a partnership. If you have a buddy that you talk with every day, you both need to drink. We all need to drink. That's just something that we have to do. But hold each other accountable to do that, because you know that your friend is going to call you and she's going to say, Have you drank your water today? I drank mine. So it's just a fun way, again, to get you interacting with other people, and get what you need done, you know.
And then I have another question for you guys. Can anyone give me an example of a fruit or vegetable that is good for hydration?
So basically any kind of melon is mostly water, but there are some kinds of some other fruits that you wouldn't necessarily think about. So we're talking about lettuce, cucumbers, zucchini. They all have a lot of water content. So if you're not necessarily a fruit eater, then eat some of these vegetables or add those to your dinner every night to help increase the water. So when drinking is harder, eat smarter. Foods are the best way to get nutrients. Adding certain types of fruits and vegetables for snack time and meals can increase your hydration levels. Watermelon. Of course, watermelon is the #1 fruit for hydration, which is why it's so popular in the summertime, right? So it is watermelon's benefits. Naturally sweet hydration. It is made up of 92% water. It won't spike your blood sugar, excuse me. It is loaded with antioxidants that can help curb your risk of cancer and diabetes. So there is so many other benefits to eating these fruits and vegetables that go a lot further than just staying hydrated. And when I started reading some of these off, I've been buying melon for my house every day since, I'll tell you. So cucumbers and celery, they're both made up of 95% water. Eating 4 celery stalks a day can reduce high blood pressure. Berries. Strawberries have 91% water content, and berries can protect your eyes from UV damage and aging, such as cataracts. So there's so many more benefits to these. So examples, like we've already talked about, watermelons, but we also have peaches, tomatoes, grapefruits, avocados, zucchini, cucumbers, celery, and any kind of berry. From what I learned though, if it's a melon or it's a berry, then it's going to keep you hydrated. So sometimes it's not easy for us to keep up drinking all day or even to keep eating full meals every day. But you can add little things like this. For instance, you can decorate your kitchen table with fruits that remind you to want to eat things. It also encourages other people that are visiting you to want to eat something. So put these things out. If you're not a big mealtime eater, then put a thing of grapes next to your chair. Just something to snack on, you know, just to keep your hands busy, but it also provides benefits as well. Watermelons also have amino acids for heart health. We mentioned cucumbers and celery can lower blood sugar. Berries have vitamin C that protects your immune system, protects your eyes. Some of the other benefits that we have though from eating watermelon. So watermelon is loaded with lycopene, which has antioxidants, helps curb your risk of cancer, diabetes, and it can potentially help shield your skin from the sun too. So these are all things that we really they don't tell us about. They need to put it on the labels when you're buying these things, right? It's rich in amino acids for heart health, lowering blood pressure, reducing heart attacks, and moves your blood through your body easier. It also protects your joints with natural pigment called beta, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, protecting your joints from inflammation, less likely, to make it less likely for rheumatoid arthritis. So 1 slice of watermelon a day gives you 9 to 11% of your vitamin A nutrient that is one of the keys to helping keep your eyes healthy. So naturally sweet hydration, it's a simple way to stay hydrated, and you can get them now that are seedless. You can get them already pre-sliced up. They really give us no excuse not to eat them. But the point is though, is that even when you don't want to drink things all the time, there's other ways that you can kind of supplement. But making sure that you are keeping something coming in, and this is a good opportunity. So you can add these fruits or vegetables to your salads. You can, like I said, you can have them as just a snack throughout the day. Some people put them in their cereal and their yogurt. But yeah. And does anybody have any questions about anything that we've gone over? That's kind of the point of giving you these tips, though, is that we want you to go ahead and know these things so you can get started. We don't want to have the problem and then try to fix it. So it's going to be a lot harder. The chances are going to be a lot less likely. Kind of the same thing with what we do as Synergy Home Care. We want to get to you before the problem has happened, because that's going to minimize your risk. That's going to help prevent those problems from happening. So starting to drink now, starting to eat these things, and knowing what their benefits are, you might not ever see where that benefit came from, because you might not ever get high blood pressure. So that's kind of the point of what we want to share this with you, is that, you know, if you know about these things ahead of time before the problem starts, then you might not ever have the problem at all. And that's essentially what all of us want to be able to provide to you. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay, you guys have been a very quiet group.